Let's talk about how we can use SQL to query the JSON data. There are several options. The first option is to use apply together with OpenJSON. This is the most flexible option. Also, the common approach that we use when we do SQL programming. The second option is to use JSON query to return an object or an array of objects. An object is a document. The third option is to use JSON value to return a scalar value. A scalar value is a field of a document. Keep in mind, for all these options, the $sign will return the entire JSON text. For our discussion, we will use this database. To set up the demo, we declare a local variable. This local variable has the Unicode varchar data type, and it has the maximum length. We put some documents in the local variable. These documents are about an employee's dependents. Lastly, we use the local variable to update the employee table. We put the documents in the dependents column of the employee table. Now we are ready to query the JSON data using SQL. Let's do the code review first. In the first example, we use cross-apply and OpenJSON. When we use OpenJSON, we provide this column name. This is the column we store our JSON documents. We define the returned data types. We do the mapping. Pay attention to the $sign, the field name. This is the JSON path. At the end of this example, we have a graph query. A graph query is not required for using OpenJSON. It's just part of our example. Run the code. The dependent documents were returned. These are the documents here. And we just put these documents in the dependents column of employee. We have a very simple OpenJSON example. Pay attention to the sample data. Unicode, person, info, name. We have two fields which have the same name. If we use OpenJSON, we will return both fields. But if we use JSON query or JSON value, only the first field will be returned because we have two duplicate name fields. Also, pay attention to $sign, that's the root, person is here, info is here. Again, this is the so-called JSON path. Run the code. Both were returned. Now we will use JSON query to return an object or a document. Pay attention to how we set up our sample data. This is a document. We have this field, and this field has an array. Two dependent documents. Look at this JSON query example. We have the documents stored in this local variable, and this is the JSON path. An array starts with 0. Simply speaking, the array index starts with 0. We have 1 here, so we will get the second dependent. That's the daughter. Run the code. Copy it out. Paste it here. The daughter was returned. The second document. We can use JSON query to return an array of documents. Look at this JSON query example. We have our documents stored in this local variable. Run the code. Copy the returned data out. Put it here. And we can see both dependent documents were returned. That's an array of documents. Lastly, we will use JSON value to return a scalar value. Remember, we will return the value of a field of a document. This is our sample data. We have our documents stored in this local variable, and we are going to return the relationship of the second dependent document. Remember, the array index starts with 0, so 1 is the second dependent. Run the code. Indeed, the daughter was returned. Keep in mind, this is how we can use SQL to query the JSON data. And this is the end of our discussion.